Hi, Tim Unkert here. And in this lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to create a limits by tables worksheet. And to do that, we're going to use some basic HTML. So we'll learn a little bit of basic HTML and we'll create our limits by tables lesson. If you're just happening on this video and you're not on this playlist, this is part of my front-end development class with calculus. I'll leave a link to the start of the playlist in the description if you're interested in that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pull up our terminal and we are going to create a directory that will house our files. So let's make a directory. Let's call this front end dev calc. And then let's change into that directory. And notice when I type CD there and then F, I hit tab and it auto-completed the rest of the directory. Just a little tip. Okay, so we're going to make a directory called limits by tables. And that's where we keep the files for this lesson. So I'm going to CD, type L, and just hit the tab to complete it. And then we're going to create a limits by tables.html file. So to do that, we can do either touch and then limits by tables.html, or we can go straight into Emacs and create it with Emacs limits by tables.html. And I'm going to hit enter, and that's going to pull up this file within Emacs. Okay, and I'm following along with this blog post that I wrote about what we're going to do. So if you have any questions after you watch the video and you want to do a little bit of reading, I'll leave this blog post in the description below. It's on my 90s style blog experiment. If you've been following the channel, I'm seeing how much traffic I can get on my 90s style blog. But it's also helpful to have this as another resource for this course. So I'll leave that there. So we've created our limits by tables.html file. And now that we're in it, we want to enable Emit mode, which we installed in the video where we set up Emacs. So what I'm going to do is Alt-X and then type Emit mode. And you'll see the message Emit mode is enabled in the current buffer. Okay, so now I'm going to type an exclamation point or a bang symbol and do Control J. And that's going to give me a basic HTML framework. Okay, let's go back to the article. All right, so we see that we hit the exclamation point, then Control J, and we've got this nice HTML framework. And we want to, after that, create this viewport tag, which helps with resizing the font for mobile screens and keeping it mobile optimized. So we're going to navigate and try and use Control P and Control N to go up and down. Those are the Emacs key bindings. And we're going to type meta :VP and then Control J. And that's going to expand that meta tag. Okay, because I have my font fairly large, it is wrapping around. But that might not be on your screen just because if you have the font smaller. Okay, all right, so in the title, I'm going to put limits by tables, or you could have limits by tables worksheet, whatever you prefer. Okay, let's go back to our article and see where we are. So we've created our title. Now we want to generate some code for our limit using LaTeX. Okay, in the very previous video of this, or just the video before this, in our playlist, I went through installing pandoc and LaTeX. You need to have those installed. So if you're not sure about that, go back one in the playlist and get that installed for this to work. Okay, I'm going to take this, copy this code here. This is LaTeX code, and I am going to do Control X, Control S. That's going to, it says wrote. That means save this file, and then Control XD. And I'm going to create a file called limits by tables code.tex. So TEX. Okay, so I'll do Control X, Control F, limits by tables.tex. Okay. All right. So now that I'm in that file, I'm going to paste that code with Control-Shift-V because I am using the terminal Emacs. Okay, if you're using a GUI Emacs, you do Control-Y to paste it in, and if you have evil mode enabled, you do P to just paste it in. Okay, so now I'm going to save this with Control-X, Control-S, and I'm going to type Alt-X and then E shell as a command, and that's going to bring up the inner terminal. I can list out my files and see that I have my limitsbytables.html file and limitsbytables.tech file. I should name that limitsbytables.code.tech, but anyways, so now I'm going to run pandoc, and I'm going to say pandoc limits by tables. You notice I auto expanded it, .text -o for output. Let's make this a different file so it doesn't overwrite the other one and it's not that confusing, because we're going to make another HTML file. So we'll do limitsbytables-code.html for our output. And then now if we list out the files, we see that we have those 3 files there. Okay, I'm going to exit out of E shell by just typing exit and hitting enter. Now I'm going to go back to Dear Ed, but with Control-X, D, and enter. And I'll type G to update Dear Ed. And I'm on limitsbytables.html. If you're not, you would navigate onto it, hit enter. Oh, whoops, that's not the one I want. Control-X, D, back there. I want the one with the code. Okay, so I've got this code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the code. Now to copy the code, I'm going to hit Control space, whoops, at the same time, Control space, and you'll see it says mark set. Then Control E to go to the end of the line, and you'll see it's highlighted the text, Alt W to copy it, and even gave me the message that it was copied, and then Control XD to go back, and I'll go back to the limitsbytables.html. We're going to go into the body tag. So we're going to leave a little space here and we'll tab in. And what we want is we want to have a div with a heading 2 with a problem number, and then we'll paste in the paragraph with the limit below that. So to create that, I could do a div and then a right arrow, then H2, and do Control J. Okay. Now my cursor is placed in between the two, the opening H2 and the closing H2. So I'm going to type problem1, do Control E to get to the end of the line. And then I'm going to paste in that text that I copied with Control Y. Okay, so that gives me the limit text. Let's save this, do Control X, Control S, and let's go to our files. We'll go to our Linux files. And we'll go to limits by tables, and we want to look at limitsbytables.html. I'm just going to double click on it, and it's going to open it in the browser. And you'll see it's not styled very well yet. We're not going to style it for this lesson, but we do have find the limit as x approaches 5 of f of x. Okay, so we do have it set up that way. Okay, all right. Now what we need is we need to have a limits by tables, okay? And I think I'm going to go above this div here and just do an H1 tag. So I'm going to type H1, then Control J, that'll expand it using Emmet. And I'm going to type the title again, limits by tables. Then I'm going to do Control E to get to the end of the line, and then P and Control J to expand it with Emmet. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to type the directions. So find the following limits using the tables provided. Something like that. I'm going to do Control N to get down to this open line. And now we want to create a table. Okay. So let's go back to our blog post here. And so we see we've gotten this created, and we've got it within a div. In my blog post, I probably should have mentioned that I should put up an H1 above. But we're going to create this table. So let's break it down what we have here. So in the table, we have a table here. We have a table row here. we have a table heading here and then table data below. So X is the heading for this one. In the next table row, we have f of x in the table heading and then all the table data. Now the way this is going to look is going to be more of a horizontal table. Let's see if we can create it. So we have two table rows, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 settings. 13 are table datas, and the first one is the table head. I'm going to all run them as table data. So we're going to use Emmet to do this. So we'll type in table, and then we'll have within that, so a right arrow, and then two table rows, and then within each table row, we have 14 of those like table datas, although one of them is the table head. I'm going to do Control J, and this is going to expand out the table for us. Now, the top of each of these, what I want to do is I want to just delete the D and put an H. Okay. We'll do the same thing here. Okay, so now let's save it with Control X, Control S to save it. So now we have our basic table format created, and now we want to fill it in. So I'm going to go X, 0 to 4, and then 4.5. So let's go up here. X, 0 to 4, 4.5. Then after that, we go 4.9, 4.99, 4.999, 5.001. All right, so 4.9, 4.99, 4.999, 5.001. After that, we have 5.01, 5.5 and 6, and then 8. And I think the last one we have is 10. Okay, so that's done for that part of the table. Now we're going to have f of x. Okay, we do f of x, 1, 1.99, and 3. After that, we have 4.51, 5.001, and 5.99. So let's see, 4.51, 5.001, 5.99, 5.999, and I think 6.001, something like that. No, we had 4.99. Then after that, we had 4.53, so 4.5, 3, 2, 1.1. I think we did miss one, so let's do, let's just make this, let's make it 6.001. Something like 1.1, whatever we want the output to be. So I saved that with Control X, Control S. You see, when I went to do it again, so no changes need to be saved. Let's take a look at our file. Let's open this again. Okay, so we see we have our table here, and we're just starting with this. So our table doesn't look that great just yet. We could do some styling, but we're not going to do that at this point. So we're starting with a very basic worksheet, and we're looking as x approaches 5. So we'll see as x approaches 5 from both sides, f of x is approaching 6. So the solution to this limit would be 6 because both the left-hand limit and the right-hand limit are equal. If they were approaching different numbers from different sides, then there would be no limit. And we could say something like the limit does not exist. But as you can see, as we're getting close to 5 on this side, on x, we're getting close to 6. So let's actually Let's make this a little bit larger so you can see it. Okay, so again, as we're getting close to 5 here, we're getting close to an output of 6. Same thing from this side. As we're getting close to an output of 6. So we can say that our limit is probably 6. We'd probably want to make this 5.999, so not yet 6, because it'd probably be raising up to 6. Okay? All right, let's take a look now. So that's one way to do it. And we have our completed code like that. We may also want to have a table where it's more vertical. So to do that, we would have more table rows. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 table rows, with the top one having the table heads, okay? So we could do it that way as well. And we might actually, to make it the same, we might need 14. But let's do this with Emmet. So we'll do div, and then within the div, we'll have a table. Then within the table, we're going to have 14. Let's do 14 table rows. Within each of those, we'll have 2 table datas. We'll do Control J, okay? And now it's going to expand out, and we can see that we've got this whole big table here. Now we're going to change these to table heads and see what this looks like. Okay, so we've got, let's see, x and f of x, okay? Okay, and then here we've got our outputs. So let's just scroll down, 0, 1, then 2, 1. Now this is for demonstration purposes only, so I may mess up these numbers, but, oh, it's 2 and 1.99. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, and then we'll do 4 and 3. Okay, and then 4 and 4. We probably want to do 4.5 and 4. We don't have the same x value twice. Okay, after that, we'll do 4 and 4.5, yeah. Okay, then 4.9, 5.001. 4.99, 5.99. Um, 4.999, 5.999. Okay, 5.01. And 5.99, 5.5 and 4.5, and then 6 and 3. Then we'll do, I don't know, 8 and 2, probably 9 and 1.1, and maybe like 10 and 0.5 or something. Now, I'm just making these numbers up, but okay. So we'll do Control X, Control S. Let's go up a little bit. So let's do Control U. Let's go up 25 lines, Control P. So I did Control U, 25, Control P. Let's go up another 10 lines, or let's go up 15 lines. Control U, 15, Control P. Okay, and that's a way we can move up quickly. At the start of this div, we should probably have an H2. Let's do H2, Control J. That'll give me my tag. We'll do problem 2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up and just copy this limit, actually. So we'll go to the beginning, do Control Space, Control E to go to the end, Alt W to copy. And then we'll go down here and paste it in with Control Y. Go to the beginning here and just Well, we don't actually. Let's do a Control X, Control S. Let's prettier this. So let's make this prettier. We'll do prettier, the command prettier, prettify. Okay, and that's going to run and take a moment. And you'll see now that it's formatted it. Okay. All right, so now we'll do Control X, Control S, and let's now refresh this page that we have here. Okay, so we have our first table, like so. The next one, we have a vertical table. And you'll see as X is approaching 5 on both sides, it looks like f of X is approaching 6, so we'd have the same solution in this particular one. So that's the worksheet. I've created problem 1 and problem 2. Now, my challenge to you is to create some more problems. And if you are having issues creating those problems, leave a comment in the comment below, or you have any questions, make sure to comment below. So what I'm going to do is right-click and go to Print. Okay, and the one thing I want to get rid of is these little footer and header stuff here. So to do that, I can go to More Settings and go to Options, and you'll see that the headers and footers are checked. So I can uncheck that, and I can click Save, and I can save it in my downloads or wherever you want. I'm going to save it in my downloads. And so if we go to my downloads now and open it, you'll see we now have a PDF with problem 1 and problem 2. So yeah, that's how you create a PDF from that. So I'm going to leave it to you as part of this challenge to create some more problems with some limits by tables using the methods and the HTML methods that we went over to do it. Okay. If you have questions, again, leave comments in the comments below. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. It really does help the channel grow. And if you want to check out some of my social links or my 90s style blog, I'll include the link to the blog post where I went over this stuff, and I'll leave those in the description. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.